Welcome back! So far we have talked about relational databases, what they hold, their structure, how tables are created, how to get data into the tables, how to change the data already in the tables, and how to get the data out of the tables. Now we are going to take it to the next level and talk about what kind of cool programs can be built upon databases. After today's lesson, you will be introduced to Princessware, a website built on top of SQL. You will understand how Princessware can use the database to present data on the different web pages. Big show of hands if you have a Gmail account or an Amazon account or an Instagram account, or if you are a tweeter. These are all web applications built upon databases. Amazon is storing your password and username information in a table, in a database. When you enter your username and password, there's actually code behind the scenes that you're not seeing that will confirm that your username is associated with the password in the table. If not, you will get an error message. Your credit card information and shopping cart are able to be displayed on the page because there is code retrieving the information from the database. Depending on where you click on the page, there is behind-the-scenes code that is retrieving that information and displaying it on the web page, like my order history at Amazon here. SQL is great, but remember, you basically had to use SQL commands to do anything. So it's only a helpful tool if you are really savvy with SQL commands. Cinderella wanted to make the data more accessible to herself and her subjects and display it in all sorts of fun ways on pretty web pages. So SQL alone was not enough. Because SQL on its own wasn't enough, we brought on Penny Programmer and her team of programians to create a web application built on the data in SQL. Penny and the programians worked closely with Kathy, Inga, and Manny to understand the data in the tables and asked for their help for putting SQL commands in their code. After months of development, they presented a cloud-based web application called Princessware. Princessware is a program that could take in the data from the SQL database and display it on the web pages of Princessware in pretty and fun ways. Not only could the data be displayed on the Princessware web pages, there was actual SQL code in Princessware that could update, edit, and delete data in the SQL database as needed. But Penny designed the web pages that had this code so expertly that the people making the changes would never have to see the complex code behind it. Let's take a closer look at what this Princessware looked like, shall we? Cinderella can now turn on her computer, open up the internet, type princessware.com into the URL, and voila, she is taken to the Princessware login screen. She could then enter her username and password on the login screen. Both the username and password will be stored in a table, and Penny and the programians added logic to their code to ensure that the password entered was matched to the username. Once the code confirmed this, Cinderella would see the homepage of Princessware, a delightful fairy tale quote that would change daily, and a menu full of options. One of Cinderella's requests to Penny was a subject directory. She wanted to be able to search for a subject by entering in information about that subject, such as their name. After the subject was found, Cinderella wanted a subject profile to appear with helpful personal tidbits, like their name, address, and their tagline. Can you recall what table this information is being stored in SQL? A lot of the data appearing on the subject's profile in Princessware would be retrieved from the subjects table in SQL. So Penny's code was filled with SQL statements that were getting subject's information from the subject table and presenting it on the page. The subject profile primarily used data from the subjects table, but the photo came from the photos table, and in the future, Cinderella also wanted to see a subject's average dress score and average behavior score on their profile, and those pieces of data would come from the party behavior table. Another place Cinderella likes to visit is Memories. Here she can search for a party by name or other methods. The party she searched for will come up as well as pictures from that party. Cinderella can scroll through all of the fun photos. Also, on the bottom of the page, there are subject comments about the parties. There is code on this page that is retrieving the party photos and subject comments from the tables in Fairy SQL. There are also pages that Cinderella navigates to that actually put new data into the tables. Penny and the Programians created a tab on Cinderella's menu called Upcoming Parties. Here, Cinderella can create a new party, note down important party details, create a guest list, and much more. Once Cinderella enters this information onto party web pages, there is behind-the-scenes code that inserts the data into the relevant table. Inga Inserter worked with Penny to write the code interspersed with SQL code to get the data going into the right columns and tables. One last thing to note. Now, Cinderella didn't want to be the only one who had the pleasure of using Princessware. She wanted all of her subjects to get a chance to use Princessware. However, she didn't want them to have the exact same access that she had. She wanted them to be able to view the subject directory, accept the subject taglines and average dress and behavior scores. And she wanted them to be able to view the party memory pages. But she didn't want them to be able to create new parties or edit parties that were already created. So Cinderella asked Penny Programmer to design certain security roles that would be tied to her and the subjects. These roles would be used in the code to determine what pages were displayed and what the user had access to. Cinderella's role associated to her login was Princess Boss, and the subjects would have the security role of subjects. So now we have been introduced to Princessware, and we see how it is a website built on top of Fairy SQL and how it uses the database to present data on the different web pages in all sorts of fun ways. Now it's time for a quick activity and then on to the next lesson where we talk about a few other groups who use Princessware.